in right at the end of the song. What about that? What about that? Here. But I guess what we're really missing. This one? Is that? There we go. Oh. Little hickey there. What is happening, everybody? Welcome to Grinding Gainz. Caffeinated critiques. So, just a little morning variety show, so to speak, for y'all. Welcome in. Y'all on the fitness and health channel. I really think should be the health and fitness channel, but you know, we'll deal with Twitch later. We almost made it by 5:30 today. We're here. Still kind of getting everything situated. They say it takes you about 2 years to fully kind of get things under your belt when you're starting something new. At least that's what I tell myself. It's gonna take me at least 2 years to figure out this Twitch thing, and by then it's probably gonna move on, right? But that's okay. Adapt, as it were, as is necessary. All right. So yes, we are. Welcome. A little janky this morning. Today, like we do on Thursdays, is form reviews. So if you exercise, or you would like to exercise, or maybe you've got some pain when you do a particular movement, hop over onto our subreddit. Post a video of yourself on our subreddit here. Let me see, I guess I use this one, right? If you post a video, you don't have to put an essay in there like I do. But you're right, you put a video in here. Or if you just want to come and look at the random shit I put in here, that's cool too. But we'll get you reviewed. Try to offer some critiques, some advice, some things tangible that you can, do on your next workout, or even, right now while you're hanging out on stream with us. So that way you can improve your lifts. Like, I ain't trying to replace your workout. I don't want to create workouts. I just want to help people do the things they enjoy doing. And so, pain stops us from that kind of crap. Right? Pain is what's going to keep us in bed when we want to go out to the beach or something, or pain's going to be what's going to stop us from, participating in beer league softball, or playing basketball with our kids, or going out to the park and playing some sort of pickup game with our buddies. Whatever the case is, like, I got the big ass dogs, right? Like, you see them up. You see, can I do this right here? Got it. There he is. There's right. So maybe you run or walk or play with your dogs, But if your knees all jacked up, or if your low back's flaring up, how likely are you going to do some of that stuff? Or how likely you're going to do it to the level that you would enjoy it at? Or get maximum enjoyment. Anyways, all that to be said, that's why we're here. That's why I'm here. The dog's gonna be here whether he wants it or not. Paul's not here today. Tuesdays we do a show breaking down, reviewing various fitness influencers on YouTube. We've been reviewing competition videos as well. And just trying to open the gambit, as it were, look at how movement applies in all different aspects of life and how we train that movement. I know this is going to be super dumb, but kind of the way I think about these things, right, is like, in school we exercise, right? We do math exercises, you have English exercises, you have writing exercises. You know, homework is just another word for exercise. And we work on those exercises, those practices to build up our skill, to build up our knowledge and expertise. Yeah, when we say exercise and it comes to like physical movement, we don't think of it that way anymore. We have this weird idea that it's, nope, this is max effort time, baby. It's gonna be just a puddle of sweat and tears on the floor when this is all over with. We don't try to treat it as a skill. We think it's this second-hand nature that should just occur because we're human and humans move, so therefore I move. And that's not wrong, right? You will move. It's just, how do we move? How do we discern movement? How do we choose how to create movement patterns? Do we create movement patterns, or do we just kind of, fly by the seat of our pants and our habituations take over? And that's the real kicker of it all, is the habituations, the habits that we don't intend to make. So let's take it back to the skill thing, right? My father, big math nerd, got himself a master's degree in mathematics, all that fun. He was always preaching big on my ass about, you got to follow certain steps. You got to, you can't skip steps. If you do, you're going to get a completely wrong answer. Math has this whole order of operations, right? Well, exercise in a lot of ways is going to be the same way. There's going to be certain steps we take to build up, right? If you don't understand addition, right, you might be able to figure out subtraction. That doesn't mean they're exclusive. Multiplication, right now it's gonna be a little more difficult. Division may be a little more difficult. Then we start getting into more complex concepts. But if we don't understand that basis of addition, we're gonna be taking a lot of guesses. I think more realistic where this is gonna catch people in the fields, or more relatable, is gonna be minus signs, fucking minus signs. Carrying them little fuckers through the entire equation, not forgetting them. If they doubled out, then you actually lose them, that kind of stuff. Little tedious things that, here and there you forget about, but you practice that skill, you get better at it, you get better at checking for it. Again, movement, in my opinion, in the way Paul as well, not to speak for him when he's not here, right, but that's all the same. That's what it's about. Little practices and finding those errors that we have and just tuning them up a little bit to where they don't become so prevalent and so regular for us. I think that was long-winded enough. If you're popping through, like I said, we're just going to be checking out some exercises this morning. Greatly appreciate y'all being here. If you got any questions or comments, feel free. Let me see. I'm going to turn this music down a little more. The music might still be schmeage too loud. I don't want to get down to maybe right there. Maybe it's just now completely inaudible, which probably isn't a bad thing either. Because I don't pay for Spotify. We start getting them Twitch checks coming through, we might start paying for Spotify. We got to get to 50 people first. Get that next step. Alrighty here, so let's all scroll on down to the most latest. All right. And we are going to work on a dumbbell RDL here. All right. Let's see. All right, so we see a little bit of the feet and the toes lifting up, which isn't the end of the world, isn't a bad thing, but it'd be something to start focusing on and keeping in contact. More so than the toes as much as especially that big toe joint, right? Let's see here. Now, this could just be a moment in time. This could just be a thing, right?
Introducing
But we see for this individual, this resting posture.
Vitamins, minerals, and probiotics.
And we all are going to rest in different ways. But when we do rest, it does tell us a slight story.
Which is how we know that AG1 Next Gen is shown to increase healthy gut bacteria by 10 times and close common nutrient gaps. It's one drink to support whole body health. Learn more at drinkag1.com/science.
Well, that didn't work. It wasn't centered the screen, y'all. Let's get the
health drink.
Ish. All right. So right here. Yeah, should be right here, right? We see that all of the weight based on how the feet are and the legs and even to this hip, it looks to me that the hip is coming like at us, so to speak, towards the screen, which indicates that a majority of our weight or of this person's weight is in this leg. Yeah, not the end of the world. This would be one of those things that, though, I would be mindful of, and is this happening everywhere? The reason why I highlight it here, this could be her first set. This could be their first set. This could be their last set. Who knows? But chances are, is we've done some sort of exercise, we may be already tired and fatigued. We're going to start tending to our habituations. So again, here's just showing us that this individual is, as they're taking this moment to rest, recover, or just get mentally prepared for this next set or their first set. We see all the weight in this right leg more so. Now, the other thing we see too is, to me, and we'll see it maybe a little bit better when it's active, but to me, it looks like this knee is kind of in a weird position. I almost feel like it's rotated in. If we were to look at like a straight line, if we were looking at this left knee, I'd be curious. I think we have a better crawler here. So if this is our knee cap, and we have the lower leg, and then we have our toes. Terrible foot. But is the kneecap and the toes straight on with each other? I mean, to me, it looks like we have some rotation, and more specifically, it feels like maybe the femur. So it's knees rotating in. So it looks like the knee is kind of rotated into me out this way, and then the foot might be square-ish. Might be a little off-centered as well. We can't tell from this video directly, but that's kind of those little things that we're seeing. And so what does this all matter? Is it showing us that we're stronger in this entire leg likely? We're stronger in this glute for supporting. It's showing us that we probably have some lack of strength on this inner adductor complex as well. Now we see this highlight more when we get into the lift. When I say more, it's going to be more of that kind of adductor, knock knees kind of a thing. Right here. So the hips, or the feet, the toes coming up is one thing. But be aware or see how the feet want to roll out as well. So we not only get the toes lifting up, which is fine, right? That's, again, the athlete working to get the hips back, which is excellent, right? On a Romanian deadlift, that's the game, is to get the hips, get an arrow, flat line, right? Going back, well, that's not what we wanted. Going that way. Keeping the knees as over the ankles as possible. All that looks excellent. Again, working on, again, seeing how the foot's rotating out this way, and we can see the other foot is going to be rotating out that way. And so things to be mindful of as this person, especially with the dumbbells on the outside like this, or even in kind of the front. I love using dumbbells in squats, like a suitcase squat or even a suitcase deadlift, because what you'll find is because these weights are on outside, you'll naturally want your knees to cave in. Part of it, I think, is how the center of mass about us changes. But it's a really good exercise to help stimulate that kind of external rotation of the hips, pressing the knees out into the weights, or at least being mindful not to let them cave in. Now that's going to sound like I'm talking on both sides of my mouth now, because when we come down to the feet, right, you said knees out, John. Yes, knees out. Don't let them cave in. However, when we do this, we have to make sure that that big toe is rooted to the floor. And so again, we look back over at this submission, right? That big toe joint needs to stay cemented to the ground. It was going to sound gruesome and nasty, but we're going to take a big old nail, like one big old roofing nail, and wow, sucker's going to just drive that big toe joint into the floor. I'm going to do a couple things for you. One, if you have flat feet, this is going to really start working those intrinsic muscles of the foot, those deep muscles. Start getting them where you almost want to think like you're palming the ground with your foot as you create this hinge, as you create your movement. And this is how our feet are what we connect to the ground. So the more of the foot, we want more of our feet into the floor. Indigestion. All right. So that's going to be a big part. Now, when we keep those those inner seams of our feet down on the ground, this will go in a long ways, activating more of your inner thigh muscles as well. We're going to get more of your calves active as well. So all these are going to be good things for you. Let's see how the rest of the lift progresses. And you also may find so some of these restrictions we're talking about keeping the feet flat on the floor, you make this adjustment to your lift and you may notice I can't get my hips as far back. And that's okay. That's a part of the game, right? Finding these moments where we're not keeping our technique and adjusting, the end of the show, what's our tagline? Stay mindful as fuck and don't compensate. This is a compensation, and it's not the end of the world. I sometimes feel people here, I tell them they're compensated, and they're like, oh, I'm trying really hard. I'm trying to do it right. And it's not about that. It's just a word, right? It's to indicate that we're losing connection of our technique. We're losing our form. And to continue the movement, we have to create some sort of change in the equation, as it were, for us to complete it. So again, taking it back to like the math stuff earlier, sometimes it's like, I don't know how to fucking answer this, but if I had a 2 right here, shit would just be jelly. Or whatever it is, right? But it's not the case. It's not the problem you're actually solving. But if you add in this extra, integer, it changes it all for you. Well, it's the same kind of thing here. It changes the entire equation. But keeping the feet flat and then trying to create that hip hinge is going to create a different feeling for this athlete. But I would argue over time, it's going to be a better feeling in that it's going to be recruiting more of the feet. It's going to be recruiting more of the calves. It's going to be recruiting more of the entire thigh and helping, again, get proper engagement into the glutes and the hamstrings for this movement. Okay. Now, one of the things I look and watch for in myself and in athletes and clients I work with, especially on hip hinges or deadlifts, the name, hip hinge. And that sounds like, again, a smart ass thing. So when I am working with athletes, though, this is the bottom of the lift, I feel. Yeah, that's where she starts with contractions. So again, we got a flat back. That looks fine. In hips, we're getting to, again, if we look at the I-beams behind, we can see some reference points. That way we can kind of compare and see what's happening. We see the weights are, again, about shin's height, middle shin. That's fine. Knees are in decent enough position. So what we're going to watch for now is as the body descends, are the hips moving or are the hips static and the rest of the body still moving? All right, so these little nuances are what we're going to watch for now. All right, so on that one, I feel like we got a lot more movement through the back, and the hips feel like they kind of stagnated. And so one of the things that you can, not that one, this one. So in deadlifts or any hip hinge motion, right, we want to have, again, my fingers were the hinge point, right? We want to create that hinge. We want to create that hinge just at that one fulcrum. Now, hips are going to be different in that we also have a conservation of center of mass activity. And so we want the hips to, again, travel back, but we don't want, and then what we don't want is translation of our spine. And when we're going into this, let's see here. Let's see. We're gonna go. Have microphone. It looked like it was reading. Yeah, there we go. All right. So for any hip hinge, or any in depth, any of these kind of watch this to a lesser degree. I want to work on all movement of the hips or body down and load it into the glute. Trying to keep that tension all loaded in that area. What I don't want is we get to the point where our torso back into it. Really, again, try to keep it all about this hip hinge falling back like we saw with the feet up. Good way to explore this and get better at it without weights, external. Find something that you can hold on to. TRXs are really good for this, right? But you can get this sense of yourself sitting back into the hips. Help that center of gravity equation, as it were, mass over the middle of your feet as your hips keep. Again, we don't want this sense of sinking our spine or shifting spine down to this mid lumbar region. And I feel that's what this athlete is. Another now something that would benefit this one, not to push my crap. We're gonna push my crap. Let's see where it is. Oh, we don't show it on that one. This gets, where is it? This one. Hold it behind. Let me mute this real quick. So this would be, again, this dowel hinge would be an excellent exercise for this athlete. So get yourself a PVC pipe or something like that. This is a broomstick I'm using in this video. And again, we're lining it down our spine from our tailbone, shoulders, and our head. Find all three of those points of contact. And from there, we work on that hinge. You just go until you feel that deep stretch in the glutes and the hamstrings. And that's going to be the end of the movement for you. Right? And then with this dowel hinge, you can switch arms if you'd like. But this is going to help train your body. Again, fancy word, proprioception. Train your body's awareness of how to get there, how to be there. So that way, when you're coming into the weight room or when you're ready to go to weights, you have a better sense of this. So again, watching the hips, I feel the hips stagnate right there, and then we sink lower. Slide a smite. Yo, John, hope it's going well, buddy. It is, sir. It is. It's always going well when I see you. How you doing this fine morning? Or is it afternoon for you? I guess you over in the pond, so late morning. Probably have to come on later again. But yeah, for this athlete, that's what the big thing I'd be watching out for is, again, keeping that lumbar, that neutral core, that neutral spine, hip hinge, but not allowing that spinal shifting, that spinal translation is the fancy term. Glad I could catch a stream on my break. Yeah, just hit lunchtime over here. Okay. What are we having for lunch today? Yes. Like the stereotypical thing for me to ask would be, is it fish and chips, right? What's a good lunch today, Sir Smite?
Introducing AG1 Next Gen, a daily health drink packed with more vitamins, minerals, and probiotics. And this formula is more clinically studied than ever before.
All right. We're going to try to ignore everybody in the background here, and we're going to focus on this easy curl pull through.
Increase healthy gut bacteria by 10 times.
Got back into doing body weight exercises. All right. I like it.
Learn more at drinkag1.com.
Yesterday, started with some squats, and my knee is feeling it. Uh-oh. That's not good. But I'll be on lighter meals for the next week for a little while. Okay. What's going on with your knee, my man? Is it like the tops of the knees? And the reason why I ask, right, is like any client I work with, like we want muscle fatigue and the DOMs to be, again, like within the muscle bellies. Like if it's in a joint or at the height of a joint, those are always going to be red flags for me. Always had a bad knee, but probably took a shock from sitting down for nearly a week. Mostly if I turn it at a certain angle. Okay. One thing to kind of keep an eye out, before you probably showed up, I was picking on this athlete's resting posture. In that, to me, it looks that this left knee is kind of caving in, but her foot is rotated outward slightly. And so those kinds of rotations can really put a lot of can give our knees a lot of issue. Right? I know y'all over in the other side of the world from me. I assume y'all have door hinges just like we do. Right? And our knees work like door hinges. And so, as a house starts shifting its foundations or whatever, right, that starts causing those door hinges to kind of twist on each other, and then we get squeaky doors or doors that, are harder to open and close. I got hinges around here that you can see them spitting out rust as they our knees are in a similar fashion though. Knees like to go forwards and backwards. They like to go bendy this way, but when we create any rotation on them to degree, that's when we're going to have a bad time, as it were. So, I be just kind of mindful, like you said, you're sensing where your leg is, sensing where you got these places that it doesn't feel good. I'd wonder too, where's that foot pointing relative to the. I'm sorry you're going through that. If you need some help, man, holler at us. Let us know. Tuesday night would be a good one for you. Tuesday, Paul and I are sitting around chucking it up. In any case, let's move on into a pullover. All right. So here I'm working on a easy curl bar pullover. And all it is going to be, you can do this with any weight really. I like the easy curls in that it's just easy on the hands, as it were. Kettlebell works decent enough. Dumbbells work okay. What I like about the easy curl bar though is it allows width, allows different stances, so to speak, or grip positions. Let's see how this one goes. Now for me in my mind's eye, I'm really focused on this right arm. My right arm is my kind of problem side. And so as I'm going overhead, I feel like this right elbow, again, we can see how much wider my right elbow looks relative to the left. Let's see here. Right there. In heads. Yes. And honestly, I didn't realize how far out like skew it was. And there might be, again, I'll always give it to people, is that there might be a little bit of shift to our camera angle, right? So that can throw some things out of line. You know, we're trying to get everything as lined as possible. Door hinge and spitting out rust sounds just like my knee. Oh no. I tried hard not to bow my legs out on the way down because I wanted to try to keep it stricter form, as I know that's been the issue in the past, especially with shoulders. Working on getting it so I can lay flat and bring the arms straight up behind me and rest them on the floor. Are you talking you're up flat this way? I assume up overhead, or laying flat out in what I will call like T-arms. Yeah, up overhead. Or going straight up overhead is a tough one for you then. You probably find that you want to rotate your arms outward. At the minute, they're about an inch off. Oh, he's just hanging out right now. Okay. So this straight up overhead is tough for a lot of people. Part of it is human anatomy too. You may find if you go a little wider, kind of like you do in the Y in the YMCA, you may be able to get, or you may already kind of found that you get there. But our shoulders do have what's called scaption. So if you've ever done like shoulder dislocations, taking your arms up overhead with like a bar or a band, and then back and around you, or you notice how the arms have to go wider. There is that kind of track to be mindful of. We went from knee pain to shoulders. So do you have a shoulder injury? It's off the floor. One thing you could do too is if you are kind of in that deficit, just relaxing your arms on something that takes up that deficit. And then you can do basically a PNF, what would be referred to as kind of pressing your arm into like the pillow, pressing your arm into the yoga block, and then trying to hover. His neck, his back, his shoulder, and his... Oh man. But you know, we got just the thing for that. Where is it? Bam. What you need right there, my friend. Yeah, just gently knock the rust off. Oil it up. Keep the engine running. Don't let it get all corroded and backed up. Little bit. Yeah, I think that's all it comes down to, stretching more and exercise. I'm going to be pedantic with you, sir. Stretching doesn't do a whole hell of a lot for people. The back's been long standing. I stand at a weird angle and it can't seem to fix it. Dude, I'm telling you, if you're up for it, I bet you we could help you out. As long as you don't have anything pathological. I know it sounds dorky and nerdy and like, oh yeah. But like, just make sure you've gotten scans or you've been medically cleared, and then they're like, you just need some rest, take some pain pills or something like that. The worst thing to happen is, kind of working with incomplete set of data and making assumptions based off of that. So boring test results are the best test results. So you're talking a little bit about your shoulder not making it up overhead. And so this exercise actually wouldn't be a bad one for you. You wouldn't have to necessarily use something like this as a 30-pound weight here. You could really do something, and it would actually potentially help your back out somewhat depending on what's going on there. Now my right side droops slightly and leans further forward. So right side droops. And I have a hard time resetting it. I do have painkillers, but try not to take them. And I've got a brace to sit upright. Okay. That's pretty intense. So you've been I know you're a streamer. I know you may not be, you know, Mr. Beast or Winter or Thor on Pirate Software, right? You may not be that kind of level of streaming. I recall you do some sort of sales, office sales job sort of thing, if I recall. I wonder, do you have like a 2-monitor setup, or like your workstation? Is your workstation somewhat got you in that rotated position, almost like you're working at a key station that you're having to reach with the right arm more so? That's kind of what it sounds like. And then the right side droops, so that could be pec minor, that could be your lat overactive, things like that, pulling that shoulder down, and then that rotation. Oh, it's not all that bad. It helps when I'm standing up, but I'm all right sitting. Yeah, an optic single monitor setup just to try to make sure it's back against the chair instead of leaning forward. And that's going to be tough too, right? Even if you sit at, we're humans and we have these very myopic views, like tunnel vision. And so we always get drawn in, right? Like you have the biggest goddamn monitor, but we will still be, you know, just drawn in. We gotta, you know, these little devices, and you'll still be. So it's tough, right? It's a bunch of resets that you have to work on that. Again, you're working on some of these body weight exercises. This one that we got right here would actually be a really good one for you. You could even, you don't, again, like I was saying earlier, no weights would necessarily be needed. I would be maybe just get you a broomstick even. Take off maybe the broom side, or just adjust it to where it's roughly even for you, weight wise. And then work on trying to take that overhead. And then the thing that I'm fighting for myself is my right elbow, right? So if we kind of look at this line here relative to this janky line, that's not going to make a straight one. Oh my God, just the line, just the line. There we go. So I feel like, again, we can see this elbow looks a little more rotated out, or this one's looking like a little more rotated in. And for me, I'm feeling this comes a lot from this region up in here, subclavius, maybe some pec issues. The other thing I'm really having a hard time personally working on is this engagement of what's called serratus anterior. This area right under there. All right, my guy, you be well. And I'm glad you came by and stopped for lunch. Enjoyed you sharing it with me, my man. You get a chance, pull over, see how those treat you. And good luck with it all. Hope you'll be able to see you around. But for me, again, trying to pull through that serratus while keeping this elbow in. The common compensation, right, is going to be this elbow flaring out. And that's why I was saying for a slight there, when he goes overhead, I'm willing to bet a fish and chips that he's rotating somewhat, right? To where that palm is rotating out. Maybe not that extreme, versus trying to keep that elbow rotating in as we come back. Those are just natural tensions of the shoulder, but then the habits that we have. You know, I was kind of hypothesizing or guessing that maybe he had 2 workstations, and that he was having to rotate and twist to which kind of was facilitating that posture for him for the slump side and the rotation. In any event, stretching isn't the right term, but the sense of lengthening these tight tissues under tension, where we train them and get them working and then pull through. Right now we're rehabituating, we're retraining how the system works. So now you can, whether you want to think of it as a neurological sense or if you want to think of it just as a strength sense, but either way the body is feeling safer and will allow more movements. We're gonna get into some overhead press that I'm having struggles with and showing videos for the last 2 or 3 weeks on it. And I'll tell you, as I've been doing these over the last 2 or 3 sessions, I'm feeling more range of motion when I do get up into a press, when I'm doing these overhead presses. And so it's this kind of sense that we're just, again, I always use that term of a lapping stone, just taking down the highest edges and smoothing out all the rough spots. When we're doing those things over time with appropriate weights, again, chances for injury are going to go way, way down. And for being mindful of our movements and how we feel during the movements, right, we'll less likely of putting ourselves into an injurious positions on top of that. Now, how this also goes a long ways, again, we don't see it from this angle, but with us being on the ground here, feet and hips on the floor makes us real stable. And we're drawn into our navel, or I'm drawn into my navel, and you should too. Just, again, engage my entire core. So not only am I working, my arms, my lat, and some shoulder mechanics, but my entire abdominals are like on fire. Because as this bar is coming up overhead, like my body wants to go with it. So planting myself down, hunkering down through here is a nice lengthening into the entire abdominals, the entire midsection, especially if we sit, right? And we sit, we're all just hunker down, shorten our abs, shorten our ribs. Why I like this exercise in that it helps us lengthen into them, but we're also, again, having to be tight. We're having to be engaged and lengthened. And we put that effort, that muscular effort, into a stretch. It takes it from being this kind of meh to Giga Chad awesomeness, right? Like just night and day. Now I'm resetting here because, again, part of it I think is my right shoulder, I was feeling kind of popping up a little bit. Now for a pullover, the idea is it's all through the shoulder. Right? We're just all shoulder flexion and a little bit of extension.
First. So does Kelsey Siebold Clinic. With over 40 locations,
trying to really fight any elbow bending or extending.
All
right?
in one place. We make it easy for busy families to get the care they need.
Again, there's all kinds of ways to spice this up for yourself besides enhanced weight. For me, I'll probably be looking at getting more extended hips. I may look at even lifting the feet up to, again, add more core engagement and more stability requirements. Now, something has something and yet nothing to do with this, and it irritates me a little bit. But I don't think my fucking legs are square. I think my feet gotta move this way a little bit. Like my left leg may be, I feel like my left thigh is in more, but then my right knee is pushing in more. Kind of interesting. I'll have to look at that some more there. Now, does it affect my pullover? No. But again, the sense of what are the little habituations? What are these things that we don't realize are happening? Now, on a pullover, one of the ways, especially for a weighted pullover, I've been kind of experimenting with is I treat it almost like a chest press from the beginning. So I have the weight in my hands, right? Got the bar up. I'm bringing the bar down and setting my shoulders as flat to the floor as I possibly can. Really trying to get as much externally rotation through my shoulders as I possibly can generate. Twofold. One, short muscle, strong muscle. Long muscle, weak muscle, right? That's the first part. Second part, again, is this is where I can have the least load on the system, in that I'm resting the weight in my hands, right? I'm resting everything through the floor. And so not only are my shoulders in the most strengthened position, or at least my rotator cuff is in the most strengthened position it possibly can be, there's as little load through the system as well. What this means is I have a better chance of at least initiating the engagement. And when we start loading the system and start going through movement, you may notice, or as the participant or as we view, we may notice compensations occurring. And that's where, again, we're putting ourselves to where we're too weak to maintain the posture. And thus we're having to allow the compensation to occur to be able to achieve the movement. Again, not wrong. It's just not great, right? Like, we want to build from there. Everybody's going to compensate. It's how I have changed how I look at progressive overload in some ways, right? And I do the movement with little to no compensations. And if I'm able to achieve that, then how do we add more stress? All right, so again, we're setting the shoulders, and then I think of it like a chest press, getting that sucker up there. And then from here now, I'm all about just thinking about hands of a clock. Arms are rotating. And really trying to fight these elbows position, trying to rotate my elbow in as much as I can on that right arm. Feel it out. And trying to keep it as even as I can. I'm noticing too is that right side's dropping a little quicker than the left. Here I'm resetting, and things weren't quite feeling exactly like I wanted them to. There's no, depending on what you're working out, there's no shame or no reason you can't take a quick moment, readdress your technique in a safe way, and get back into the reps. Just because it's a 3 sets of 10 and you had to take a little 30-minute second in between the 10 reps doesn't mean anything. It just means you're being prudent. Resetting. Now, if you're getting to the point where it's like just massive compensation, take a real rest, take a real break. So I'm again working on inhaling up overhead as it takes that bar over my body, and then exhale as I bring it back down. Even working on a little bit of this sense of reaching my chest up. So that way, again, trying to do everything I can to help myself bias or facilitate some of that activity under my armpit. Other things I'm trying to be mindful of, right, is keeping light load in the feet, not so much pushing into the ground. Again, hips are on the floor, but again, I'm not driving them into the floor. If anything, I'm driving my stomach, my midsection into the floor, driving my shoulders into the ground. So looking at this, I still need to do some work on this right arm. Working on some of this external rotation on my right shoulder. My right shoulder is the one that I feel that wings a little bit more on me relative to my other one. God, that was an ugly rep. So, my nose itches. Hang tight, though. Change cameras to try to get away from y'all seeing me blow my nose, and I just realized I'm up there in the corner anyways. That's the face of the camera. And Sparky hanging inside the doorway there like a dead person. All right. So yeah, and welcome to Grinding Grains for all y'all just popping in. Thank y'all for being here. I think actually I'm going to take a hot second, go refill my cup of coffee, and go to the restroom. If you are looking for some help in your workouts, whether you're in a gym like I'm showing myself here, or you're doing some home workouts and some body weight workouts as Slide of Smite was saying and he's doing, it doesn't matter. Movement's movement. If you would like some help with your movement and assessing, why you're having some pain or some restrictions, or you just want to make sure you're doing it to the best that you can, as it were, hop over to our subreddit, put a video of you on there. Remember, Reddit is anonymous, so you don't even have to come into the stream and tell me it's your video, right? You just put it in there, let it be. Anonymous username, you can block out your face like this individual did. Oh, you can't see it. All right. Putting some stickers or something on there to help block out. And then again, we'll come through and give our professional opinion on what's going on and how to improve upon it. And improving upon it maybe mean that we improve our form, we improve our technique first. With all that, like I said, I'm going to go to the restroom, I'm going to get some coffee, and we're going to be right back. Hang tight, y'all. See you soon. Alrighty. We're loaded up and emptied out. Welcome back, y'all. Yeah, I'm John, for those of y'all who don't know me and who may just be stopping by. This is our stream. RFO John, because I didn't know how to Twitch channels worked, and that's why I got such a fucking boomer handle, okay? Deal with it. Yeah. Fitness dudes just trying to share the good word of fitness. I know it's very anti-religious, but I always laugh to myself and I think of it's just the gospel according to John and Paul here. The fitness gospel according to John and Paul. Could not have two more biblical names trying to preach fitness. I find it hilarious. Anyways. Look. Paul and I both believe that fitness or knowledge should not be kept behind, locked paywalls and shit like that. And that's why we come on streams and try to give of our knowledge, to share that knowledge. Why we create our YouTube channels and share that information. Yeah, we got a website. Yeah, we're going to charge money if you want to have private one-on-one time with us. But if you're just looking for some general help, some general advice, you want to pop in a stream, pop on our YouTube, pop on any of our other socials. I mean, that's why it's there. You want to feel free to engage with us. Help us curate the content to what you need and want. And by all means, we'll go after it. That being said, our real mission, our real aim is to help people with pain. Pain due to muscular imbalances, meaning that the agreements that we have, that our muscles have with each other, is out of skew. And I know that sounds wonky. And what do you mean my muscles are out of skew? I think of it a lot of times in similar fashion as erosion, right? The Grand Canyon became the Grand Canyon because the Colorado River had been running through that same path for God knows how long, right? And with a lot of force and long period of time, as it were. Right? You have a little field that you're trying to irrigate, right? And the water isn't going to where you want it, right? You have to dredge out a new path for it to go that way. You have to do things to prevent the old path from being reutilized, right? You have to fill it in, block it off, put a dam, something, right? That way the water will go down the new route. Again, to me, a lot of it is movement is a similar idea. It's all habits. It's not sexy or fun, but it really is. And the question of the stream today, left knee, right knee. For me, man, my right knee always goes to the floor first. Would you be surprised that it's my right glute that gives me more issues as far as tightness? It's my left quad and hip that gives me more issues as far as tightness? It shouldn't, right? Because again, my left hip evidently likes to be more flexed than my right hip. And that's that. So, we gotta put one leg down, right? But there is a mental, like I can tell you from my experience, there is a mental hesitation for me to go down on my left knee. Not because of pain or anything. It's just my body goes, nope, that's not how we do this. That's not what we do. And so, again, how many times do I do that in a day? How many times do I do modifications of that, right? Maybe there's a step I got to go up. Do I go left foot first, right foot first? This can be all very overwhelming. But don't let it become overwhelming. This is explanations to help set the stage. There's no way to undo all of those habits. There's no way to have good posture and just sit with good posture. It takes chipping away and finding little habits to pair with current rituals. From there, we can build a better posture. From there is how we get out of our habituated pains. And so that's what we're here for. That's where we're trying to land. We're going to land this plane. That is why we're here. So again, you having some issues, you want some help with a movement. We're currently helping a young woman with some thumb issues. She can't pull her thumb back as far as she feels like she ought to be or used to be. And so we're helping her again identify the tightness and brevities that are in her hand, helping her again engage the muscles and the extender wad, so to speak, of our forearm. That way she can reestablish those muscle balances into her hand and forearm. It all matter. We help it all. All right, so we did pullovers there. This is chest press. Boom. Let's talk about this for a second here. So these are 25-pound weights. When I am lifting, something's kind of sub-maximal, as it were, I do leave the weights on the ground like this. I get my grips as best I can. You'll notice, again, I'm going to try to pull my chest through the weights or through my shoulders, my chest through, and get big and tall and rigid and lock my back. I'm trying to be as, again, rigid and stable through the shoulders and then using the weight of my body to offset the 50 pounds in my hands and laying myself down. Now, they will get a point where, I can't do this with the weights. This is probably at my threshold right now.
we go to great lengths to continue
And thus, if I'm going to go heavier, you'll see I'm going to have to actually kind of roll them up on my knees or on my thighs a little bit and use my legs to also help propel and get those there. If you find that this method that I'm using to get the weights in position is not manageable for you, if it creates forearm or elbow pain, right? That's going to be that you're overtaxing the system, and I would use again bring the weights on your thighs and then use that to get there. But if it's light enough, I would really invite you just keep use your shoulders and your body, just so you get in your you were talking about habits earlier. This is another chance for you to stimulate that upper back and that posture, that broad chest posture, while you're doing your exercises. I see it as a scale, the Lady of Justice. So every time we're doing things that benefit our posture, whatever that may be for your particular individual posture, the more we put coins on that side, so to speak, right? We tip the scales to helping better posture. Anytime we're either taking coins off of that one or we're putting coins intentionally on the other one, right? Then we start, jacking our posture up, so to speak. So all that again, engage in my core, stomach in, pull through big and tall, and then we're leaning back. Doesn't mean there's not going to be some tweaking and setting up, but again, we're just trying to get everything in its best position as possible. All right. So again, just here I'm double checking, setting, making sure my shoulders are still where I want them. Maybe doing a little head adjustment if I need to. And sometimes I have my hair in the position in the way as well. And then even more, what I know for me is my grip on that right hand. Trying to make sure I feel I have a secure grip, but more so that I can actually feel squeeze through these fingers. And that's what I've been having a little bit of an issue with, is that strong grip through my pinky and ring finger on that side, especially compared to my left. It's not like I was just horrified Hank cat. Sorry. What'd you do? Hang tight for 10 seconds. Reasons. I didn't say why. Just said you got deleted, man. Apologies. Or not. And if you put out them dirty messages. Trying to sell me viewers. We don't need no bot viewers. Any case. My personal struggle right now is, again, that my right hand grip doesn't feel to be matching my left hand grip. And we're highlighting. Oh, yeah, stream boo crap. That's why. Any case. So we're looking at that pullover. You were here with us earlier, and we're noticing how my right elbow wanted to rotate out. So that goes in with this theory that I've been working, right? Is it's this connection with my right pinky and ring finger grip. Again, that keeping the shoulder down and externally rotated, that elbow tilting in, as I was talking about earlier. We just released a YouTube video, or short, again, kind of highlighting this as well. Right? This keeping that elbow rotated in. Big focus for me is this elbow rotating in. I don't need to listen to it, right? But it's that same thing, right? Again, this is what you said last time about your shit, right? Because this is my battle. Like, sitting at this computer, that does some of it. Working, going to jiu-jitsu, driving, like all this shit builds up into it. So for me, there's the fundamentals of getting my shoulders flat, but then being aware of this little hiccup, being aware of this compensation that likes to rear its head. And on any press, right, we're inhaling as we bring the weights down towards us, exhaling as we press them. And we don't get a sense of it in this one because it's relatively square on us. But my arms are going from my shoulders, roughly a shoulder height, And as I bring the weights down, the arms are coming down towards my chest, right? Towards that nipple line. We're trying to, again, keep our forearms parallel the whole time as that happens. When you don't have a mic in front of you, right? And so we're going to have this natural taper there. But the other thing that we want to be mindful of is that stack of the wrist over the elbows. And so we don't want to have to where we keep the wrist over the elbows and we're just doing a lot of elbow bending and extending. Almost like you're holding a cup of water. You're just trying to balance that cup of water on top of your knuckles as you bring it down. And when you're done with any type of chest press, especially with dumbbell chest press, you eject them down towards your feet, towards your hips. Never let them go off to the side. Never let them go overhead. These are all bad times. Like, even if you're failing and you don't have it, you can throw them towards your hips. Like, you can always throw them towards your hips. The reason being is all this stuff is break shit positions. Not just because I talk about jujitsu, but this is just before I ever did jujitsu, right? That was just what I would tell people. You know, when someone blows up their shoulder from a failed chest press, dumbbell press, right? They're throwing the weight back this way. They can't get their hand out of the way of the weight. So just like a Americana attack in jiu-jitsu, which is rotating the wrist behind the elbow, and that's basically what ends up happening. Is we get this rotation, whatever that mass is, pulling your hand, and your shoulder goes pop. Not a good time. So again, when we're done, always down towards. Always throw them towards your feet. So let's see here again. Let's, instead of me explaining myself, let's actually watch it. Feet doing all kinds of weird shit. Try to hold the feet and thighs together better. And that's a little of that sense of bleed out or loss of energy. Just keeping everything tight, only allowing movement happening where we want the movement to go. I think I'd like to try to get a video of myself from the side. See what we see from that position. Snip. Snip it. Snip it. Blondie's sniffing around there. Oh, I did not mean to do that. I'm sorry. Keep it working. Oh. That time I was just late. There we go.
You.
Again, there's no telling, again, how off-center this may or may not be as far as the camera relative to me. Again, some interesting observations for just to my eye, right? Is kind of, again, what my feet are doing or not doing. So that's part of that. Now, other things I'd be kind of watching for. And also, again, feel like if I look, we drew a line from my head. Straight line there, and then we did another straight line. That's not quite parallel with the other one. Again, just these little tweaks it's not going to be the end of my exercise. It doesn't mean I'm going to blow my low back out because things aren't quite square. These are just, it's like you're walking down the street and there's a quarter on the ground. You don't have to pick the quarter up, but you can, and you'd be 25 cents richer. And you go, John, there's inflation and all these other, whatever, man. That's 25 cents you didn't have. Fuck it, it's a penny you didn't have. All right. I know it's old man logic, but it pays out over time. That kind of shit will build up. Try not to leave money on the table, as it were. especially if you're already there, right? We're not doing anything necessarily extra. Just trying to build those routines, build those habits. And what I was trying to look at, and then I fucking closed the thing. Got on my old man rant. Good enough. And looking at these elbows, looking at the hands, I'm trying and eyes are just trying to figure out what's this angle, how different is it from this angle, right? And those look pretty square to me today on this particular day's lift. Now, it might be also too where I'm catching myself in position. Now, again, looking at things, I do feel this elbow does seem again to be wanting to get away a little bit, or isn't as much as I might be focused on this rotation inward. It's just not able to manifest it as well as this side. And that's the expectation, right? Based on, again, the pullover and just some other things. I want to say this right. Panalito. Dude, the other day, I got to apologize, man. I was butchering your name. I was getting all dyslexic with your name. How you doing this morning, sir? Or is it afternoon? How you doing? Ham cake. Not following, my man. That's how you say my name. We had some pancakes this weekend. My wife made some pancakes. They were delicious. Oh, it's your nickname. All right, Pancake. If you don't mind it, I'll call it to you, man. He says, just don't call me honey. You can call me Pancake. So are you a chocolate chip kind of pancake? A maple syrup kind of pancake? Banana pancake? My wife likes blueberry pancakes. How did you get the nickname Pancake? If you wish to share. Not all nicknames come from happy places, right? You'll not call me honey, baby? That's fair. That's fair. You can call me anything but not late for dinner. That's the dumb joke. Call me anything you want, just not late for dinner. So when I get done with chest presses, I didn't do it for too long here, mostly because I think I was just trying to get out of the gym. But I'll take a moment and lay in this cactus arm position. And I'll try to do it for maybe about 30 seconds, if not maybe a little bit longer. Again, just working on letting the shoulders sit down and back, big and broad. Your muscles are going to adopt the position we just most recently put them in. So after I've just done all this chest pressing, I'm going to have the body's going to want to collapse into the chest. The body's going to want to be short through here. So taking a moment and not letting all this shrink back up, as it were, rather help encourage it to stay in that lengthened position. And these are, I was talking about, saving a quarter, picking up a quarter that was on the ground, and now you're 25 cents richer. These are those little techniques, right? We take that moment and just stretch everything back out into a more normal position. My buddy Hope Thrives and Johnny Delight gave me this nickname. Okay. And hey, thanks for being in my stream yesterday. And sorry my Wi-Fi problems. Oh, it's no problem, my guy. Reminded me of my time when I used to work at Walgreens. It'd have been interesting to have streamed while I was at Walgreens back in the day. Having the wall of cigarettes behind me, and then all the wonderful individuals that came through. So is that your store? Or is that just your job? Not to sound crass or mean about it. It's your job. I got you. That's right, because sitcoms. You're the script writer, my man. Yeah, working that job's gonna give you plenty of content, right? All right, here. Oh, guess we can get to. This is the same video. Let me delete this real quick. All right, so again, I've been talking in the last couple of weeks about how like overhead presses have just been my nemesis. You have a particular lift that's tough for you? Pancake? Really just want to call you pan. I always put like a Hispanic or a Spanish Latin flair to your name, but yesterday when I was watching you, I don't feel that you are a Latin individual.
Has 10 probiotics, their most ever, to support a healthy gut microbiome, immune system, and stress response. And Ollie Super Good Superfoods delivers 15 superfoods in tasty gummy form.
I also feel kind of awkward when I always put like the wrong ethnicity on someone's name. But yeah, all I see is Panalito. 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 We'll just stick with pancake because you told me that, and I. The name. Looking at the name makes me think Latin. But you know, yesterday when I visited your stream, no, I was like very whiplashed and oh god, I've been trying to use a Spanish Latin name for this guy. And he is not Latin at all. Very, very much get my little shame bell out. All right, overhead pressing again. Like I said, this is a tough one for me. Again, it's this right shoulder again. And we're seeing it present in different forms, so to speak, or manifest in different positions. So originally we saw how my right, I keep showing this one, but it's not. This right shoulder of mine is, I believe it's some brevity coming up and through this subclavius region. So again, I think some of it's from phone, some of it's from driving, some of it's just from life. Many guys say I look Russian. Why are you rushing, man? Slow down. Calm down. We'll be okay. We'll get there. No need to rush. You're just too good at your job, man. Just bam, bam, bam. Hey, enough with the dumb puns. Dumb English puns. Now, anytime someone says something about Russian this or Russian that, that's always where my mind goes. Don't be Russian. Dude, though, like Russian is a very broad category of people, though, right? Like, it's hard to like just say you look like a category of people when they span an entire 2 continents. Like Eastern Russian citizens probably look a lot different than Western Russian citizens, right? Like, further west you go, they're probably gonna look a little more Asian, a little more Chinese and what have you. You're probably down in that central Russia, you're gonna get a little bit more Middle Eastern flair, you know. Hey, that's okay. Peoples. We all just trying to make it through this world, right? And hopefully, we got some body pains. We can work on that. You have a very good Russian accent. I have no fucking. Dude, I just got Southern country boy accent. It ain't Southern U.S. I can't pull off the accent. In college, I used to try to pull off a really bad Irish accent. That got me kicked out of a party one time. All right, so as we're watching this overhead, let's get this one. We'll pause right about there. Come back into the snippet. We can get the whole body, I guess, but that's not really what's mattering. Let's just look at the part we're really focused on right now. Look at it. Oh my god. Come on, damn it. Enhance. So I can draw on this thing. All right, besides my lovely O face going on there. And just like we did on the chest press. Let's take a look at kind of reference points. Oh my god. Not an arrow. Reference points again, using the dumbbells to help give us a visual. So again, we kind of see a little bit of a different rotation angle in the hands. And then again, following that down, we can see where that elbow tip is right there. And this elbow tip is somewhere over here, right? So again, all of that's just in showing that imbalance, showing that compensation I'm doing to get the weight up. And to further the conclusion, the hypothesis, right? Is again, if we were to draw a line, terrible fucking lines. But again, kind of going across my chest here. What do we see different left or right? Be like fucking Blue's Clues up here. But again, my observation again is this: we see how much is right there. Whereas on this side, right, you can see more of that light behind us. We see less of our t-shirt, less of our body, so to speak, right through there. And again, over on this side, again, lots of tissue or just lots of John right there, right? Okay, dude, I have to tell you that. Again, all this is showing, right? If we think about muscles as these little ropes connected, right? This tissue or these muscles right in this position are staying hyper shortened and not allowing that rotation. Is how my 2 cents of it is. So when I can get this kind of help cleared out, this will help me pull down into my shoulder better, engaging into that, creating that rotation. Because right now it's staying bound up on that right side. Keep showing on my left. But you have the typical beach boy dude who owns a tiki bar and is chilled all day. Well, you know, maybe one day. Maybe one day. Probably not a tiki bar though. Well, it wouldn't be bad. It wouldn't be bad. Old Papa Bezos came by and said, "Here, John, open up you a bar out there." I say, okay. No strings attached. I don't want to be owned by him, but he can just give me his money. And then last time we were kind of looking at it as well as, I think it was my torso. Last time I felt I had a little bit of a tilt to the torso as well. Today this video looks fairly square, all things considered. So, again, happy about that. But yeah, it looks like to me is the thing I'm going to have to really focus on before these is going to be doing some open work through here again. Partially some palpation to just kind of get that thing to relax down some. And then I'll probably do some like front raise motions. Just trying to help cue on the delt and help facilitate that rotation. And then that'll be kind of my warm up, if you want to think of it that way. And then reassessing using the same weights and seeing how we do here. Now, again, if we look at this one, let's see here. The real test. Set this guy over there. I like Tiki Bar at the Muscle Beach. Nice day. Alrighty, I got some ideas for the drinks. Uh-oh. Are you more of a rum or tequila kind of person? Or do you prefer a different liquor? Liquor? hardly even newer. We go back and look for, where is it? Last time we did overhead press. It would be a little difficult, different camera angle. Let's get into the set. We'll pause right there. All right. Can't really zoom in. That's okay. And so I just kind of looking observationally, trying to see over time. It's been maybe about a week apart, so not time for really any drastic maybe changes. But looking here, I mean, I'd like to think it looks better. You know, overall, I think it looks a little better. Even my left arm over here looks kind of wonky on that, you know, from the one last week. And then the one here on the left from earlier this week, you know, it looks like my right arm is a little straighter. It looks like we're getting a little better rotation even to my eye. And so these are the things that we're trying for. This is, again, what I'm after for myself. Because to me, it's going to be more important that I'm keeping the shoulder in really good position as I create this movement. Because, you know, like I've shared with y'all before, like I participate in jiu-jitsu. That's why I've got, you know, this fucking black eye. Someone popped me in the face on accident. And so maybe in all these various positions, having my shoulders cranked on and worked on, you know, I don't want injury in that way, but being like, oh, but I can press 50 pounds with one dumbbell overhead, right? Like, that doesn't do me any good. The other side of it is, again, like Pancake, man, you're working at the grocery store, the Quick Mart, right? You're reaching up for something, right? You want to have that shoulder clearance to be able to look at the customer while you're talking to them and be able to reach back potentially and grab a pack of cigarettes off the shelf. Or maybe you reach to grab the pack and you're staring at it, but then again, someone talks or is there commotion, and so you turn your body, right? We don't want to get like pull or strain something for something dumb like that. So and that's why I always go back to focusing on our techniques, learning how we're making those little changes and trying to be kind of dorky and nerdy and scientific about it, right? You know, making one thing change and seeing how that change precipitates, as it were. Oh, that was way too zoomed in. I think that's a wrap for today. So, you know, on this overhead press, we'll just go over that real quick for people. Overhead press, again, for me is a challenge, is a tough lift. In that it's just the technique required and my issues with my right shoulder. Now, when we are pressing, if we're doing it, this is where I always say exercise, if you can just get the idea of the movement pattern, then you can put different varieties with it. So the overhead press, right, all it is going to be keeping our shoulders depressed, chest up, and then as we press up, again, this idea of keeping the elbow just tilted forward. You know, if we're new to this or we have compensations already, you'll tend to let that elbow rotate away. And that's what I've been clamoring on about here. And then as we press, we're trying to again get the elbow over the shoulder, trying to get that bicep in line with the ear. Not so much of this head driving forward. Does that help create a little bit of space? Yes. But again, I argue that also creates a compensation pattern, brevity into the throat. And again, that's, to me, in the grand scheme of things, not the best thing. Cocoa Pro equals pancakes whey protein powder mixed with some bananas, coconut pieces, and milk. Served in a coconut with some pineapple pieces and a crazy straw. Sir, I think you might be onto something there. My only thing is I don't know that I would drink it. I hate bananas. I fucking hate bananas. God, do I hate bananas. Ooh, just mush. Ugh. Yep, no. Now the coconut, you got me. I like. What? I know. Fucking hate bananas. Now coconut, you got me. I'm all about some coconut. Pineapple. I like pineapple. Like just off to the side. Now, do you like sweet pineapple or tart pineapple? What pineapple group are you in? I feel you might be a sweet pineapple kind of person. You have to taste my banana milkshake, bro. We're just not going to comment on that. Sentences I never thought I'd hear is try my banana milkshake. My mind lives in the fucking gutter. God bless me. I'm a tart. I love like a good tart pineapple. Me and my wife have battles with this. I will buy a pineapple that bitch be green. So green, but it's so good. There you go. That's how you know it's good. Get all the good electrolytes. You're talking about serving in a coconut? We were on vacation somewhere, and we came by these guys. They call themselves the Coconut Brothers. Coconut Boys. That's what they were. The Coconut Boys. And so it was this little dirt road. We had to take a golf cart to get to our hotel and back. And so this one span, it had to be maybe a quarter mile, not very far. One guy had his little hut, and the other guy had his little hut. It wasn't even a quarter mile. It had to be maybe 200 feet because they could see each other and yell at each other. But they're like two friends or two brothers, and they'd have these little huts set up, and they give you fresh coconut, you know, like $1 or $2 or whatever it was, and they'd chop them open and this and that and the other. You could pay like another $1 or $2, and they'd put booze in it. Man, I have never seen so much booze hit the floor while going into a coconut. In any case, Coconut Boys, they had a good drink for the price. We'll get you a little setup like that, and so that way you can sell you can have the Cocoa Pro, and then the Cocoa Amateur that has no banana in it. And maybe a splash of rum.
And then there's Kelsey Siebold Clinic.
Not so much a post-workout drink, I guess.
Locations across Greater Houston. We're always close by.
I serve the drinks in a bottle that looks like a okay.
No matter which location or doctor you choose. And
He's going for the full thing.
Imaging and labs are all in one place. Need care now? Schedule
All right, y'all.
primary care appointment or video
Well, I gotta get booking here. I gotta go earn some money, pay for my Twitch bills. Pancake, Panelito, 2004. Thanks for stopping by. Slide of Smite, we had him sneaking in here earlier. Appreciate him visiting. All the lurkers, everybody that just kind of slid through. Thank y'all for being here. I see we get some people popping in. I guess that means I have to go actually into Twitch and we gotta do a raid, huh? Guess we'll do a raid. Be a good streamer. And my plates will look like, well, there you go. And you think these things from all the angles. Take care, Beach Boy. This guy. Maybe one day. Now, me and my wife are thinking, she's thinking more maybe like deserty, mountainy. We'll have to figure out that one day. Stream manager, that's where I gotta be. Well, before we finally sign off here, let's see, am I following anybody that's streaming? D-Gen. Oh, we have definitely got to go see D-Gen. All right, D-Gen's getting his workout in, so we're going to hop in, say hi, and join him. Again, if you ever got questions, comments, concerns about your form technique, check out our subreddit. Put your post on there, and we'll get to it on Thursdays. If you're looking just to hang out, Friday nights, we're going to be playing some games and some Wheel of Agony. I don't even know if I got the right thing pulled up, but hopefully I'll see that. And Tuesdays is me and Paul, the PB&J stream. We kind of debunking common fitness myths, giving some fitness advice, breaking down fitness videos from competitions to follow-alongs. And thank y'all for everybody being, what's that under the eye? You just now seeing that, man? It's my black eye from last weekend at jiu-jitsu. All right, y'all. We're going to slide over to Degen, say hi to this man. Enjoy y'all's day. Go follow Fun John. I got it. Yeah. Send me the link, man. DM it to me and I'll check them out. All right, y'all. Be well. Have a great one. Thank y'all for visiting. Until next time.